What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another week of NFL Power Rankings. My personal NFL Power Rankings, ranking every NFL team entering week number 6 of this 2021 NFL season. Before I rank every team in the NFL, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more BLV on the NFL. And spike that notification bell for the latest upload. Week 6 is here. Let's rank every team in the NFL from number 32 to number 1. Don't forget to get in that comments and let me know how you feel. Let me know your rankings. Let me know your top 5, your top 10, maybe even your top 32 in the comments section below. At number 32, I do have the Houston Texans. Despite a strong performance and nearly an upset over the Patriots, I think a lot of that had to do with the Patriots missing many offensive linemen, 4 to be exact, and coming off a very emotional game versus Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. But the Texans show a lot of fight each and every week, and they do have more depth and talent, I think, than people give them credit for. Davis Mills also had his best game as a NFL quarterback. So things are looking up. I give a thumbs up, in fact 2 to the Texans, but it still doesn't mean they're good at football. So I have them at number 32 in last. At number 31, you could make an argument that Jacksonville is the worst team in the NFL, but the fact that Jacksonville has been more competitive on Thursday night versus the Bengals, and then this past week versus the Titans, they were a little bit more competitive than the early weeks of the season. They have grown since week 1, losing to the Texans, and Trevor Lawrence continuously is getting better. He shows the upside, he shows the arm talent, but he's refining his game as a rookie. He's not going to win a lot of games, but as long as he can continue to improve, this offense, defense can continue to improve, even with the fiasco of Urban Meyer, I'll still put them at number 31. At number 30, the New York Jets. A disappointing game in London, in my opinion. I felt like they should have won that game if they were what I thought they were, but in fact, they are not. I thought they were looking forward. I thought they were getting better, but Zach Wilson had a rough one once again. The defense didn't step to the plate to defend Matt Ryan and company. Kyle Pitts had his way with this secondary and defense. And defensively, the Jets, they fight, but they just don't have enough in the secondary and at the second level. For their offense, it's too vanilla, it's too simple, not enough guys making plays for the young quarterback. The Jets, I'm concerned about. I don't know if they have the offensive staff for Zach Wilson moving forward, but as long as they can show signs of life, that's going to be a win for the Jets this year. At number 29, the Detroit Lions. If there's any team that deserves a victory in the NFL, it is the Detroit Lions. They have continuously played in competitive, close games against teams that they really shouldn't be competitive with, like the Packers, the Ravens, and now the Vikings. And Dan Campbell, man, I love the guy. I hope he gets a win soon. Jared Goff has not been great. He has not been bad either. The offense has actually shown signs of life despite the talent that I don't really think they have. They have a lot of offensive line injuries and still performing there. And defensively, they're just bad. They don't have a lot of talent. But the Lions, I like the way that Campbell has this team playing. So that's why I have them above the Jets now. At 28, the Dolphins. I love Brian Flores, but his team is simply not performing. The offensive line has been awful, like horrendous. And Jacoby Brissett behind it has been a massive downgrade from Tua, to be quite honest. And I'm not sure how much of an upgrade Tua is. Yes, they did win a game with Tua in there, but the offense has struggled in every game they've played. They are one of the worst offenses in football, despite all the weaponry that they do possess on paper, and the defense has significantly declined. So the Dolphins are not a good team. At number 27, the Seattle Seahawks. The reason I have the Seahawks here is because no Russell Wilson. Obviously, if you're judging off record and previous performance, they would be much higher, but I'm judging it off the here and now, and with Geno Smith at quarterback, Call me a pessimist, call me whatever you like, but I just don't believe Geno Smith is going to be great for the Seahawks these next few games. And Russell Wilson often has carried this offense and team, so with him out, I see nothing but L's on the schedule moving forward. But they do have a couple playmakers. Hopefully they can get Chris Carson in there at running back to help Geno Smith out. But with a bad defense, I just don't see this team being able to pick up wins without their best player. At number 26, the Atlanta Falcons. I was a little low on them. I think Atlanta is getting better, and I credit that to their coaching staff, Dean Pease and Arthur Smith. Both guys have put in good performances as of late. Matt Ryan, maybe I underestimated him a little bit. Maybe I shut him down a little too fast. But Matt Ryan can still play in moments, in spurts, and he's not quite an MVP player, maybe like 2016, but he's still a capable quarterback who can make some throws and plays. Kyle Pitts is starting to come on, which I think is awesome for you Atlanta fans. The offensive line has been a little bit better. Cordell Patterson is maybe the story of the year, the 30-year-old breakout. And the defense is actually showing signs of life, so, that's promising. So Atlanta, I think, is actually not a terrible team. They at least can compete week to week. At number 25, the Washington football team. Washington, you could argue they might be better than their record. They might be worse than their record. I'm not quite sure. They're still kind of a confusing team to me. They just aren't able to make the plays defensively that they really thought they could, and we thought they could. Beginning of the year, this was projected to be a top 5 defense, and they have not performed. They have been a bottom 5 defense. Jack Del Rio deserves to be fired. I'm not even going to lie. And I don't even dislike Jack Del Rio, but his scheme is not working, and clearly they need a change up there. Offensively, you got to hand it to the young quarterback, and you got to hand it to Terry McLaurin. I mean, these guys continue to ball, even with some rough performances from the quarterback, Taylor Heineke. I feel like he continues to show heart. The team's playing for him, fighting for him. The offense is actually better than expected week to week. They should have another tight-fought game with the Chiefs and that bad defense, but I just don't see the defense getting any better anytime soon. So they are at number 25. Next up on the power rankings, we have the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles did improve in my power rankings this past week, but it was a little bit of smoke and mirrors. They beat the Carolina Panthers, a lot based on the Panthers' mistakes. Sam Darnold interception at the end of the game, a punt block, a lot went their way in that game, winning a defensive showdown in Carolina. Nonetheless, it was an upset. They improved in my mind. I think Jalen Hurts has been better than generally people talk about. Devontae Smith has been nice. Zach Ertz is still relevant, I guess. They need to find more outside of Devontae Smith at wide receiver on a consistent basis. The offensive line, if they get healthy, this will completely change the identity of the team and the offense, and they'll be really difficult to stop at times with Gainwell and Sanders in the backfield and Jalen Hurts running as well, him scheming it up. The defense, I still don't think is great, although they did play well versus the Panthers and Sam Darnold and did some good things. When they do face a good offense, they often get shredded. So the Eagles are a team that I think are kind of feisty, but I don't look at them as a relevant football team in this league. They can beat pretty much any team in their division outside of possibly Dallas. They might be the second best team in this division, but that's also not saying a lot. So they're at 24. Now, the second best team in the NFC East, in my opinion, is the Giants. Even with their record, I feel like the Giants, when they're healthy, are the second best team. I think they have the second best quarterback. I think their defense is the second best in the division, and they have so much skill talent. It's off the charts. Kadarius Toney is a superstar in the making. Saquon, unfortunate injury for him. Same with Daniel Jones. It really sucks, man. I like this team. I honestly feel like the Giants, if they were healthy, they'd be in my top 20, but that's simply not the case right now, so I had to lower them a little bit. Now, if it's Mike Glennon, obviously they're even lower than this. but I'm going to just hold on to the hope that Daniel Jones, Saquon, these boys are back sooner rather than later. 23-24, you could flip it either way. At number 22, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, I have not been on the train all offseason into the season, never been on it, always been off of it. But the Steelers have moved up in my rankings because I saw better out of Big Ben. As long as Big Ben can cut down the mistake plays, like the bad plays, like the, oh no, Ben, don't throw it plays, this team can be competitive week in and week out because their defense consistently makes plays. They consistently get pressured. They consistently get stops. And that's rare in this league right now. And they have a lot of talent at wide receiver. Like, even with Juju out, you add James Washington into the mix. You've got Chase Claypool as a specimen and Deontay Johnson, who's proving to be maybe a top 10 receiver right now in the league. They've got a lot of skill talent, Najee Harris as well. The offensive line ran the ball on the Broncos. It was an impressive performance, so I got to give them their due at 22. At number 21, the Chicago Bears, same thing. I was never high on the Bears. I'm still not high on the Bears, but hey, they're above 500. Justin Fields, I believe, is 2-1 as a starter. I could be wrong about that. But the Bears defense is playing hard. They're playing well. They're creating pressure. They're creating turnovers. And they're winning games, grinding it out. And Fields isn't making a lot of mistakes. So you got to hand it to the Bears and what they're doing there. I still don't believe in them long term this year. But for now, they are at 21. At number 20, the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts also were a team that significantly went up in these rankings, and that's because of their performance on Monday Night Football. I think the Colts are starting to get it a little bit. There was always talent with the Colts. There was always that potential with the Colts, and I think what also helps for me in my mind is their division is very weak. So that helps the Colts and their projection. Even though they're only 1-4, I believe, at the moment, Carson Wentz looks healthier, looks better, looks more comfortable. The O-line will only get more comfortable and healthy and better, and they're finding their way with Jonathan Taylor, who's a superstar at running back. The defense is getting better as well. I thought they showed spurts of being very good versus the Ravens. They just need to keep that up throughout 60 minutes. But the Colts, they're a team that's going to be in most games. I just don't know if they have the elite talent in enough places to truly pull it off versus the best teams. At number 19, the Denver Broncos. The Broncos, Vic Fangio, I'm a little bit worried about the defense. Honestly, the defense has let me down the last couple of weeks, and it's understandable that you're expecting a lot out of this defense having to carry the team and all that, but to get gashed by the Steelers in the run game is extremely concerning. Obviously, their secondary is very good, but the injuries are starting to really pile up offensively and hurt this team. I think they need to figure something out with their receiving core, need to figure out what their bread and butter is offensively, and I think they need to give Javonte Williams the ball more. Period. End of story. As well as Noah Fant. They need to get those guys the ball more. At 19, the Broncos, they're going to be a solid team. They need to win a certain way, which is defense first. Don't turn the ball over. But that's good enough to be 19 in this league. At number 18, the Raiders. I could easily swap the Broncos and the Raiders, even the Colts here. The Raiders moved down a lot in my rankings. They've lost 2 consecutive games. They've lost their head coach. They have a fiasco off the field. It's bad. It's really bad, and I am selling every single stock I have with the Raiders if I can, but I still got to give credit to Derek Carr. He's going to fight. He's going to get this team in games. They need to figure out the offense. They need to figure it out. It's been lousy the last couple of weeks. The offensive line has very much struggled. The run game is irrelevant. The defense hasn't been bad. It just hasn't been able to hold up because the offense hasn't been living up to their end of the bargain. So the Raiders at 18. At number 17, the Patriots. I have the Patriots above the Raiders, even though the Raiders have a better record, because I think the Patriots would beat them straight up. I think the Patriots, yes, it was a close game versus the Texans. They had to make a comeback, but again, they showed heart. They showed toughness. Mac Jones showed that he has something special to him, some sort of quality that makes you really believe in this kid and the future of him with this franchise. The Patriots defense had a little bit of a lousy first half, but completely shut it down in the second, and I think they're going to carry that forward into a Dallas game. The thing about the Patriots is, when they're an underdog, especially this type of Patriots team, they're going to rise to the occasion. They're going to fight hard. They're going to make it competitive. The problem with this Patriots team is they don't have enough talent to simply not show up. And that's what we saw versus the Texans for spurts in that game, especially early. So if the Patriots can just keep the foot on the gas, they'll be interesting. Their offense is getting better. Their defense, though, needs to be elite for this team to be a playoff team. I still believe they have a shot. I just think they need a lot to go right for it to actually happen. At number 16, the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers are a real tough team to rank because they've already had injuries at quarterback. Jimmy Garoppolo once again has gotten hurt. And we saw that Trey Lance isn't really ready. But they competed hard and they nearly beat the Arizona Cardinals, the undefeated Arizona Cardinals, in their building. So for that fact, I have gained a little bit of faith in their defense. DeMeco Ryans has done a very good job, and the defense is performing. The offense is struggling. Kyle's offense is struggling. I think it comes down to execution, less scheme, and part of it, and a big part of the pie, is the quarterback consistency. But I think they can figure it out. George Kittle's also hurt. Mitchell looked good at running back. The pass rush looks promising still. The secondary isn't actually that bad right now. The 49ers, I think, are a borderline playoff team at the moment. If the quarterback can just be steady, they'll start to pick up some wins now that they're finding the identity of the team. But it's going to take some time if it's Trey Lance, because they're going to need to find the way that they can win, the way that they can play to win these games. At number 15, the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are kind of like a real similar team to the Niners. They need to win through defensive football at the moment, despite offensive masterminds at coach. And they are a run-first offense that kind of wants their quarterback to protect the ball, play conservative, make a few chunk plays here and there. They're very similar teams. The Saints are getting healthier. I think the Saints will get, I'm not sure if they'll get better, but I do know at the moment that they're at least going to beat bad teams for the most part. They beat Washington. Now, they did lose to the Giants, but I felt that was a tough matchup for them. And they also had an impressive showing over the Packers and Patriots. So they're kind of a weird team to judge, maybe the most inconsistent in football at the moment, but their high-end stuff that we've seen is more high-end than the teams below them. At 14, the Vikings. The Vikings are that team that, despite their record, I continuously believe in. They just have too much talent in key spots to not believe in them. And they have a lot of veteran talent, guys that I like. I think Danielle Hunter's having an under-the-radar good year. Everson Griffin has kind of given them a little bit. I think he had 2 sacks last week. And their defense is starting to play now. Like, that front seven is starting to play, starting to ball, and starting to really change things. Now, the offense has been a little bit lackluster the last couple weeks. You thought that maybe it was just the Browns defense that gave them fits, but then they didn't really score a ton of points versus the Lions. So maybe it's the offensive line, maybe it's the pass protection. I think Kirk has played well. I think Jefferson's playing awesome. Nobody's really talking about his season so far. Dalvin Cook's been in and out of the lineup, but Madison's played well. So I think the Vikings have a real shot to get to the playoffs this year, because I think they've got a better quarterback than the Panthers. They play the Panthers this week. This is a huge game for them. We'll see how they perform. It's going to be a tight one. Speaking of the Panthers at 13, the Panthers are really tough for me. I don't know what they're about. I bet on them this past week. I was wrong, and I got to live with that. But I probably won't be betting on them anytime soon because I can't quite figure this team out. I thought they were legit. I thought they were a wild card team, and they still might be, but I'm not sold. Like, Sam Darnold has sold for me, period. Like, he has not played good recently. The offensive line is bad. Like, it's straight up bad. And that's the 2 areas of your team that are not good. The defense is good. Like, you could argue it's a top 5 defense. They can rush the passer. Most of the time they stop the run unless they play the Cowboys. They've got a good secondary, especially with Gilmore coming in. But simple. You can't be a good team in the NFC unless you get better quarterback play and better protection. So they've got a lot of playmakers. McCaffrey should be back soon. A good defense, but they need to sort those 2 issues out. At number 12, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, they lost a tight one to the Packers. Could have gone either way. Now, they did play a close game versus a Packers team that's very beat up, but still, I'll give them the credit where credit's due. A bad Bengals team of the past would not have been close in this game, and they were in fact close. If not, they could have won the game. Jamar Chase is an absolute monster out there. T. Higgins is getting back healthy and in form, and with Tyler Boyd in the slot, they have one of the best trio of receivers in the league. Joe Mixon's getting healthier. He's one of the best backs in the league. They've got plenty of weaponry for Joe Burrow, who really is a machine accuracy-wise and a real tough guy, and not an elite quarterback, but certainly a good one for this team and a good leader for this team leading into the future. This is a big build year for the Bengals. I don't expect them to be a contender, but if they could make the playoffs, that would be a huge, huge deal for them. Defensively, they're way surpassing expectation. They're well coached, they're well schooled. Secondary's very competitive, very feisty. I like the Bengals at 12. At 11, the Titans. The Titans are at 11 over the Bengals, which was close for me because they've just proven it more consistently over the years. So I'm going with the Tannehill, Derrick Henry, Mike Vrabel trio here, just over that of the Bengals and their recent success. But the Titans are a very flawed football team, and even though they're 11, they're still quite a far ways away from being in the top 10. And they have kind of feasted on the weak. They have yet to really beat a good team. So we'll see what they do versus the Bills on Monday Night Football. That's a big game for me to watch them and see how capable and how much of a contender they could possibly be. The defense very much concerns me, but Derrick Henry's a machine. The offensive line can really run block, but pass protection has been a little bit inconsistent. A.J. Brown needs to get it going. Julio needs to get it going. If they can be dynamic. At number 10, the Chiefs. They're 2-3, but they're the Chiefs still. The offense is too good to not have in the top 10. When you have that elite of an offense that can score on almost every drive, you're going to be a top 10 team, even if your defense is an utter disaster, which is the case. If the Chiefs had a capable defense, they'd be easily in the top 5, if not top 3. But the case is that their defense is so bad. And there's clearly been regression from, I would say, Mahomes. I would say Kelsey. Now you lose Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Tyrann Mathieu is not the same player. Chris Jones has been hurt. Some key regression and losses to the best players on your team, on a team that doesn't have a lot of depth. It is starting to become concerning. At number 9, the Packers. The Packers, to me, are kind of like a better version of the Chiefs in terms of not their offense, but just the well-rounded nature. They can run it a little bit better, I feel. They can also, utilize that balance and script a game better. Rodgers is just more mature of a player than Mahomes at this point. And defensively, they're a bit better, especially in coverage. They're just not going to give up the gashing big-time plays the way that the Chiefs do. I think the Packers, with Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams, they always got a shot. I'm not truly believing in them as a Super Bowl team, but I do think they're like a lock to make the playoffs and win their division. So they're at number 9 for me. Another tough, grinded out win in week number 5 over the Bengals. At number 8, the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, the problem, they would be higher, but Baker Mayfield has not been what I expected him to be this year. I thought he was going to take a jump. I thought the addition of Odell was going to be big for him. I thought he was going to help the offense, but in fact, they should probably just trade him because at this point, they're not using him correctly, but they can really run the ball. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are absolutely ridiculous. They steamroll every defense they play. They could probably run the ball on the 85 Bears. It's ridiculous. And then you have the defense, which has been so inconsistent. Maybe the most inconsistent and unreliable defense in the league in terms of 1 week they're amazing, 1 week they're terrible. Can't quite figure it out. At number 7, the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson is the simple reason they're at number 7. The Ravens' offense is actually better passing the ball than I think people realize. They've got good receivers. I think they've actually figured it out. Marquise Brown is a player. Like, Rashad Bateman's coming back. Sammy Watkins has been hurt. When he's been there, he's been good. And they've got a couple other guys that actually have stepped up. Mark Andrews has stepped up for sure. The offensive line has grown through the last few weeks. It started off real rough in week 1, but it's gotten a little bit better. They really don't have a running back. I mean, that is a huge concern. They can't really find a reliable running back. Maybe they want to trade for a Marlon Mack or somebody, but they need one. And the defense has been good, average. I mean, it's not quite the Ray Lewis days, and it's not even the last couple years, but it's not a bad defense. They had one of their worst performances, in my opinion, versus the Colts, but Martindale coaches them up well. They need to figure out their run defense, I think. They need to get better in that area. At number 6, the Cardinals. The Cardinals are undefeated, but they are my number 6 team because, again, guys, this is a little bit more projection than the here and now. And for me, what I saw last week, I moved the Cardinals down because they didn't convincingly beat the Niners, a team with a rookie quarterback who's very green. And I understand that's a divisional game, so I get it. But I just don't fully believe in the Cardinals long-term as this Super Bowl team. Like, I'm not going to pick them to go to the Super Bowl, period. You know, the defense is actually decent, especially when they get that pass rush going. But Chandler Jones has now been a little bit banged up and stuff. And I don't know. I don't remember if it was an injury or an illness or what it was. But he's going to be maybe out in the next couple weeks. The offense was shut down last week. And it was a little puzzling, right? They have a lot of weaponry. Chase Edmonds was a little bit banged up. He couldn't really get that ground game going, but Kyler, James Conner, they kind of carried it in that regard. The offensive line's good, but they had their worst game of the year last week, and Hopkins is starting to get it going for sure. He made some big plays versus the Niners. Rondale Moore needs to play more, that's for sure. I like them. I don't love them. It's just something about them. I don't think they're ready to beat the best teams in the NFC. At number 5, the Cowboys. Cowboys are extremely good on offense, extremely dynamic. Dak is playing like a top 5 quarterback, MVP type player. They've got the receivers, they've got the running backs, they've got the O-line. In all facets, their offense is nearly unstoppable. They can run it, they can pass it, they can spread you out, they can go power ball. The defense is forcing turnovers, making plays, creating pressure, sacks. They're doing their part. Now, they're not a great defense, but they make enough big plays to help their offense and help them be a complement to their offense. And that's big. At number 4, the Chargers. The Chargers, to me, are, yes, they lost to the Cowboys, but Justin Herbert is insane right now. He's off the charts. Brandon Staley, to me, is the best coach in the NFL this year. Nobody has helped his team win more games than Brandon Staley has. The defense has been very inconsistent. I think they're good versus the pass, but really need to get better versus the run. They need to maybe add a couple big people because that's a concern when you play power run teams like the Browns who ran all over them in that game. But their offense is really one of the better ones in the league. I credit Lombardi. I credit Herbert. Mike Williams is a shining star. Austin Eckler's a beast. They've got it all happening right now, and they're just a team that's coming up with clutch play after clutch play. So I put them at number 4, but they're very susceptible to lose a close game because if they don't get those clutch plays, I feel like they could be due for a down week. At number 3, the Rams, the other team in LA. I just think they've won more convincingly over the course of the season, even though they do have one loss to the Cardinals. I think that was a little bit due to, them coming off a big win over the Bucs, not being quite ready emotionally for that game. But Stafford has been a little bit more inconsistent as of late the last couple weeks, but still managed to throw for nearly 400 yards in that Thursday nighter versus the Seahawks. They've got the weapons all over the place. They've got a balanced offense. They've got a good offensive line, a good quarterback, a great coach, a defense that isn't good and it's not great like last year, but it's not bad. It's not a liability. So that to me is fine, right? Their offense is a lot better than last year. At number 2, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs to me are the best team in the NFC still, even though they lost to the Rams. The Rams lost to the Cardinals, so it kind of works itself out. But the Bucs, they just wrecked the Dolphins. Like, absolutely smashed them. Like, I don't know how many teams in the NFL could do that, to be honest. And we saw the Bills do that. Other than the Bills and the Bucs, I don't know how many teams could do that. Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the league. Bruce Arians is doing a great job managing these injuries, managing this team, keeping them consistent. Antonio Brown is playing great football. Mike Evans is playing great football. Chris Godwin. These 3 receivers are off the charts. They don't even have Gronk right now. They're working out the running back situation, and good news for Bucs fans. Fournette's playing well. Gio's in the mix as a receiving back. The offensive line's arguably the best in the NFL. The defense is getting better, right? They're not a liability, I feel like, as much as they were. I feel like something has happened to them, whether it's just the stability with veteran corners of Desir and Sherman. Something is going on with them where they're just playing better. Shaq Barrett's playing better. The pass rush playing better. Levante David is going to be out, looks like, this week, but as long as they can keep beating these teams with their offense at the forefront, they'll be fine without their defensive playmakers for a few weeks. And at number 1, the Buffalo Bills. They're the most complete team with the least holes. They just destroyed the Chiefs in their building. It was a statement game. Now let's just hope they're ready for Monday night, because that's another big game, especially for the Titans. So it's going to be a tough one to come out and play with that emotional change, right? You just bullied the Chiefs. Big game for you, for the Bills specifically, to win because of the past history. Now you got to step up to the plate and go on the road and beat a Titans team. It's going to be difficult to do. So we'll see how that goes down. But for now, they're number 1 in my power rankings, and those are my power rankings for week number 6. My post-week 5, entering week 6 NFL Power Rankings. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, Gronk spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more Bottom Line View NFL content just like this, weekly NFL Power Rankings. It's Mitch. Peace.